Hello everyone and welcome back to Catch Up Ramblings 35B once again. Now, if any of you saw the post on YouTube, you'll know that this is because I need the time to actually keep working through the prep for Japan. Like the last minute, stuff like packing cases and making sure everything's sorted away like that. And I also need to do lots of recording to build up a video backlog for while I'm away. I just need to get 4 videos together, one for each. Probably put them in the Wednesday slot. If I can get 4 videos, then we're all right. We're all squared away. They're going to be continuations of the stream I did yesterday, so that'd be nice and simple. But yeah, so got to work through these questions today, and then we're done. And I do actually have to then go off and keep doing what else I was doing. So lots and lots and lots of things to break on through. So like I say, you'll have to just be patient with me today, and I might be a little bit scattershot because my mind is all over the place today. I have been in full travel mode. I am not in fleet mode at all. So yeah, just having to really work through that. That's a Discord issue, I think. Try leaving the rambling zone and coming back in. That usually fixes it if you are having audio issues. Yeah, the full schedule is on the website for where we're going and what we're going to be doing. So if you just want to check that out, that's fine. That'll tell where we're going. Like I say, like, brain is not in ramblings mode today. I am just completely in getting ready for Japan mode. I haven't even put out the pings for everything else yet, and I really need to. It's all very much, yeah, it's...
Yeah, sure you want to do it today?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I've set aside time. I'm not behind or anything. It's just, like, and I'm not rushing around. Like, genuinely, I'm actually well ahead of where I normally am with holidays. Like, everything's booked. Packing is well underway. Like, there's no problems. It's just Fleet's brain is gonna... Usually, like, I put the brain in ramblings mode before we start. I haven't been able to do that today. I've just had to come straight off one thing into another thing, so I'm a little bit off kilter compared to what you used to. So you'll have to give Fleet a little bit of time just to get his head in the game. But once I have, we'll be okay, and all will be well.
You're putting your head in the gaze.
There we go.
What did they do to you?
There we go. There's the funny. I knew it was coming. Right.
But if you need to dip, me and Dragon can always continue for you.
Well, yeah, I'll probably have
Viva
this.
la revolution!
Yeah.
Yet Molotov.
But
Yeah, but we need to do something that Fleet would understand.
So yeah, we need to so let's keep working through the questions as best we can. We're nearly there. There's a few we need to get through, but that should be doable in about an hour and a half. Apart from the second to last one, which is just Jiminy Christmas. But yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, so Fleet is a little bit off squiff, but we'll be okay.
How much have you been drinking?
Not at all. It's more just mental. My brain has been in one place, and now I'm asking it to go another place without the usual transition time I give it. So, yeah. 9631 asks, if the British in World War I built 2 additional Erebus, 2 additional Marshal Ney, 13 additional Lord Clive, and 10 additional Abercrombie-class monitors alongside their historical stuff, how useful are they? Useful.
Not.
You have more gun.
Actually, less useful.
You have more mobile gun to put places.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but where
monitors
you
are like
getting
one
gun?
thing the British don't lack at this point, just in general.
I mean, I
That's
guess
a hell of a lot of monitors, and also that's a hell of a lot of battleship grade turrets that you just took from battleships.
I mean, there are pre-dreadnoughts around. There are
Not these type, because most of these are mounting 15-inch.
Yeah.
No, it's only Erebus.
Lord Clive is as well. Well, Lord Clive's
Yeah.
rating 13.5 and
But
18.
even then, yeah. So and 12. So either way, though, yeah,
Very
unless
limited
we're
stock of
ripping.
13s.
I mean, I guess you've got more monitors, but that's basically that. The long and short of it. They can find uses for them, but there's only so much coastline to blow up, and you already have enough monitors to blow up the coastline you're currently blowing up. You can't blow up further into France just because you have more monitors. There is a limit to the blowing up distance.
Your best case scenario, you send a bunch of them to keep them morale impact, and you don't lose the cruisers.
World War One, Foxo.
Yeah.
Okay, is it?
But
Yeah.
this is
The
World
Lost
War One.
Clives aren't World War One, they're World War Two, aren't they?
No, I don't think the British
No, Lord
built.
Clive's World War One.
Yeah, I don't think the British built any monitors during World War Two.
1915.
They just coasted on their stocks from World War One.
No, they did build them in World War Two.
They built a couple in World War Two, not that many though.
Alright, if we're going to World War One, I mean, I read a statement.
I still don't think you need this many.
No, I don't either. I think it's too many.
Yeah, you've got Erebus and Terror
Yeah,
in World War Two.
Yeah, you can find uses for them, but they just don't. They're not needed, but uses will be found for them if they exist.
They're very much useful.
Are they?
Yeah, remember that a lot of the attacks on the places like the Wallonian ports for the U-boats and to find the attacks on the Bruges Canal are done by a mixture of protected cruisers and monitors. So actually having the heavy firepower to get in there and dance with coastal artillery probably would help.
These aren't dancing though. These are getting killed by coastal artillery.
Well, they did very well against the naval artillery historically.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dearie me.
Like,
But
I see where you're coming from.
Also,
It's just.
and you've also won the British the race to the sea.
That one, admittedly, yes, you're doing what you could be useful for.
You've contested the Rhine estuary, which is going to give the ability to break through on the coast. And given how World War I trench warfare tends to pan out, if the British are such a large...
The sheer level of coastline remodeling you will be able to do.
It's not that, it's... If you can start rolling up the front line, as the British were doing by the late war with their massive bombardment superiority, you can do shit. I mean, it's not going to change the Western Front that much because you can't exactly push through the Dutch coast into Germany. But it should help with Belgium and holding Belgium. Probably get a lot more Germans killed, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, go on.
I don't know. I think we've pretty much said what needs to be said. What is Timu asked? What is the funniest ship name, military, civil, what the panelists have stumbled on? Funniest ship name. I've seen a lot of ship names, but nothing that really screams laugh out loud funny. There's some that I think are a bit ironic, but nothing that I can't recall anything that made me that I've ever looked at it and gone, "That's funny." If that makes sense, I'm really struggling to find an answer for this. Anyone, either of you two got an answer for this one?
Nope.
Well,
not-
so there was one in Felixstowe Port recently that I saw. And it was Mistress Irach. You'll never guess what that means in Irish.
Hmm.
Probably something rather silly. Go on.
The gay mistress.
Well, that's definitely something.
Now,
It's what-
which version of gay does that mean? Is it the old-fashioned version or the new?
The lesbian kind. Irish
Right.
has two different words for that. And it was mistress in the dominating way, like
Yeah.
master. Because Irish still has that distinction. Which was a name for a cargo ship.
It's definitely one of the names of all time. Bone Meal Boy. The Enola Gay is shot down before dropping her bombs, and the atomic wreckage is discovered by Japan. What happens next? I'm going to read the Ruin-On note here. So this is difficult to manage because the approaches to these cities are over water, and the bombs had multiple levels of scuttling charges to ensure they are not recoverable. However, assuming that you can recover enough of the munitions for reverse engineering to be useful, you're pretty much only seeing a slightly wider dispersal of nuclear secrets in the immediate post-war period. Japan is just about tapped out in terms of heavy industry by the time of August 1945, so they aren't likely to capitalize on the unwilling tech transfer, which Ruin-On is quite correct. But there is also something that, an unintended side effect that, I think has been
This
missed.
is a non-question.
Has been missed here.
No, right, I just put it out quickly.
Can I finish?
No, because this is going to validate what you're going to say.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Little boy's the gun type barrel,
Mm,
which means
Actually-
that when that takes a sudden impact to hitting something, it detonates. Because that's got two subcritical masses that are down a gun tube to combine. And the US Air Force knew that if it hit somewhere, or it swung too hard, or the plane hit turbulence too hard, there was a good chance that
It goes boom.
it goes boom. So you give it the shock of the aircraft going down,
Mm-hmm.
the bomb goes off prematurely.
I mean, yes, that is very true, but if it doesn't, By some
Uh,
It
miracle.
does.
by some
It's
miracle,
got a chordate charging.
for the sake of argument, and to keep in the spirit of the question, let's all agree that yes, there's no way this happens, but for the sake of the question, and I'm making it clear,
It does.
Boxo is entirely correct, there's no way this happens, but for the sake of the question, let's just park
Swap
that
it
very...
out to Fatman.
Yeah,
That's the compression type bomb.
yeah.
So it's not a no that gets shot down, but
But either way, or another guy's carrying Fatman. Either way, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so if they find it, basically, there's a chance that that may send more of a shockwaves through Japan than the bombing itself did. at least through the upper echelons of
not.
Japanese thing. Because
Let him finish.
bear in mind, there was a lot of debate, and it basically took the second bombing for the Japanese to go, the Americans are nuking us. They still weren't sure, and in fact, there was a lot of debate and a lot of disagreement that Hiroshima was the victim of an atomic attack. Now, unfortunately, you've just dropped evidence into the Japanese High Command's lap that, yeah, the Americans are nuking us now.
No, you aren't.
And they failed this time, but they're probably gonna come again.
Japan. My counter to that is Japan has absolutely no clue what this is.
Yeah.
No. Japan knows what.
Japan doesn't.
No, they don't.
They
They do not know about uranium enrichment.
Even if
Okay,
they do,
right. Correction.
Japan
They.
has,
Not in this way.
hang on, ruin on.
even if they do ID what that bomb is, they are still going. Like, Japan has enough nuclear physicists that they were able to identify the munitions that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki as atomic munitions. So it's not going to move the needle that much, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
But.
Fair enough. Okay, well, there we are then. So I was wrong. Never mind.
Because all that's going to happen is that you're going to get a very contaminated water supply.
Is there enough fissile material for that?
Fleet transuranics are radiation hazards by themselves. And are beta emitters. No, sorry, not beta emitters.
Words.
Alpha or gamma?
Alpha, gamma.
You
Oh,
are.
well, let's-
I like your funny words, Magic Man. I have no idea any of what you just said.
Okay, so when it comes to nuclear fusion, weapons grade nuclear material, it needs to be a very specific isotope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a very specific and rare version of uranium at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm getting cold. Yeah!
Right.
That's the first
Sure,
time
we're back.
that's the first time
Back in funny.
I've ever heard her shout.
It's not, but anyway. So then, so she's not going to be back for a bit then.
But yeah, I think. Yeah. So the next thing to deal with is what I'm about to show on the screen. So I've said this, and it's from I don't know. Oh, from Chandlerlord. Would this be an improvement over the historical burn?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a basic bog standard World War II straight deck carrier. Admittedly, it's AI slop, so I hate it automatically. But, yes, as a straight deck conventional carrier, yes, it's an improvement over burn. It doesn't say where the plane crashes, Knight. Oh boy, here we go again. Brandon Larson asks, what if 700 FA-18Es and F Super Hornets along with AWACS tankers, support crew, reserve pilots, and 10 years worth of ammunition and fuel are sent back in time in 1939 to Britain and France? How does the war go and how likely is it to be over? Ruinon says it best, the war's over by Christmas. Most of the Hornets are carrying lantern pods, so they're able to guide basically any munition they could carry through any window of your choice. The war is over by Christmas. Like, the F-18s are basically... They only die by the choices of their pilots, basically. Above a certain altitude bracket, there's nothing that can shoot them down. They basically have to come within autocannon range to be actually viable targets. And there's no need for them to do that. It's not a complicated question. The F-18s systematically obliterate the German national economy and anything they could use to make war or build stuff to make war. Followed swiftly by the German Navy, and then the army itself. Anything else you want to add, Dragon? I think I've pretty much hit it on the...
No, it's a non-starter because it's just GG.
Yeah. About that. I don't know. Well, there's not going to be any normal ramblings. Not catch up, nor normal ramblings while we're out in Japan. Anything that takes that slot will be probably related to the trip itself. So, just making that clear. There won't be a normal ramblings next week or the week after or the week after that, and there won't be a catch up for the next 4 weeks either. We'll be restarting when I get back with Ramblings 101. But of course, keep your eyes peeled for special things that are coming while we're out in Japan. You should Minecraft watch a question for Draken Fleet. Whoops, Drak's not here. What if before the first battle of Narvik, Warspite and their escorts beat the Germans into harbour? How does this change the war? Narvik?
Didn't we? No, we've answered this one.
Have we?
I swear we've answered this one.
I mean, just in case we haven't, it's really simple. The Germans don't take Narvik in any way at all. All of the ships assigned to the effort are sunk, and all of the troops assigned to the effort are killed or captured. Or alternatively, the destroyers come into Narvik, see what's at the end of the fjord, and just go, nope, we're fucking going. We're going home. Which would be the smart thing to do. Yeah, that's pretty much what. Yeah, that's pretty much it. They either die or they do the smart thing and just don't commit to the engagement, because since the Warspite and the destroyers will either be patrolling or at anchor in the fjord, the Germans have the option to not commit. They have the fuel to not commit and go elsewhere, and that would be the smart choice. Would you agree with that, Dragon?
To a degree, it depends on what their purpose, what they're trying to actually do. But you might, at best, you've mission killed them. Otherwise, they just leave and go away.
Yeah.
Admittedly, you don't necessarily want a battleship at the end of a fjord like that, but hey.
Yeah. State the Dog asks, question for all. If you could design one warship, what class of warship would it be? And what would the general characteristics be? Ruin unknown. Modern battleship, fire support vessel, 18-inch rocket boost guns, 2 turrets, probably twins, VLS bias towards a self-defense profile with some strike length cells for specialist targets. At this point, I want an LPD. An LPD with 2 8-inch turrets with rocket boosted munitions and enhanced casualty receiving capabilities and landing force flag facilities. Okay. So for me, it's one warship, any class of warship. What warship would it be? What would the general characteristics be? If I get to design any class of warship, that's a tough one. Honestly, something we do actually lack in the West is a large general purpose frigate. So I'd design a large general purpose frigate, or a small destroyer. So about between 8 to 10,000 tons. 8 to 10,000 tons. 2 single 5-inch guns. Helicopter hangar for at least one large ASW helo. Deck-mounted triple torpedo tubes for lightweight ASW torpedoes. at least a decent form of Aegis. Just because I want this ship to be able to defend itself basically against any threat, and that includes anti-ship ballistic missiles. So it needs that level of sensors fit. And then I'd have since this is a frigate, I'd probably have a 96 cell VLS farm spread with a forward farm with half and half. So you'd have a forward farm and an amidships farm, Mark 41. And that then gives me the ability to... I'd probably have at least 12 to 16 of those cells be strike length, so I can carry things like Tomahawk for land attack if I need to. And that again gives me it's not a proper air defense combatant because it doesn't have the magazine depth and the really advanced Aegis suite that something like the latest Arleigh Burks do. It's not a dedicated ASW platform because it does have a decent set of VLS cells, and it can also do land attack. And it's recognizing the fact that yes, we are in an era where we need to increase the gun armament of ships by carrying 2 5-inch guns rather than the 1. And I'm not and given the increasing lethality of missiles and the way in which things are developing, I'd probably take 57mm for my Sea-Wiz. Probably the ones the Italians are cooking up with the programmable fused rounds. Although I might just carry 1 phalanx just for a last ditch. Fuck, it's right there. Dump depleted uranium into an area. Hope we hit it. Dragon?
Yeah. Older ones, battleships or cruisers, new. No clue, honestly. Modern, most new modern naval stuff's pretty boring.
What's the question?
If you can design and one warship, what class of warship would it be, and what would the general characteristics be?
Do you even have to ask this question with me? Battlecruiser, 1916. 3x3 15-inch guns. 12-inch belt. 30 knots. 32 knots of speed. Or is it Cold War stuff?
No,
It's just whenever. Like, that's why I do like World War I and World War II battleships and cruisers. I know I will not risk my skin by taking battle cruiser development away from you.
I would never take this again. I'm an orthodoxy member of the Battlecruiser cult. We don't burn the heretic, we convert them, the carriers.
Princess Nikeda asks... Schneider asks, would nuclear shells ever have been a viable deterrent in the early Cold War for Navy ships? I'll read the Ruinon note. At that point, just enhancing the deterrent value of effective battleships, which has a very short shelf life until the strategic bomber force is fully spun up and slotted into the role. No, I fundamentally disagree with that statement. That's just not what nuclear shells are for. Nuclear shells carried by warships are tactical weapons with little deterrent value. They don't contribute to the overall deterrent. They are there to enhance the fighting power of the vessels that carry them. They are not there to contribute in any meaningful way to the deterrent power of the state.
We need to get you reading your nuclear doctrine again. Because what you just said there's categorically wrong.
I mean, it's not.
Any nuclear armament is part of the nuclear deterrent. Because nuclear deterrent isn't an all or nothing. It's an escalation ladder. Hence why tactical nuclear weapons, theoretically, according to some interpretation of nuclear war, have a place.
Well, yes, but no. I would agree with certain arms of tactical nuclear weapons being part of the deterrent, and I would argue that deterrence is an overall thing that is made up of a country's military forces. That I don't disagree with, nuclear or not. It is a ladder of escalation. You're quite right, but I would disagree that nuclear shells by themselves are a viable deterrent idea. They're not.
They are.
They're not. They.
It was the whole idea behind Atomic Annie.
No.
The idea behind nuclear artillery is the local unit level deployment of nuclear weapons.
Yes, that's correct for tactical use.
Yes. And thus, it is a way of signaling. You use them when you're signaling that you're escalating, but you don't want to use strategic weapons yet. For ships, that's the same thing.
Yes,
Because in the
You're not-
nuclear world, there's very
you're not
little
hearing
difference
me.
between. No, yeah,
I completely
am,
agree
and-
with all that, but the
they're a
ship,
part of nuclear deterrence.
they are, but
Let
they're
it
not.
finish.
They are, but what I'm saying is the shells themselves are not deterrents.
Yes, they
It's-
are.
No, it's the ship that's carrying them, and it's a part of that ship's arsenal. And
No. The shells themselves are classified as part of the deterrent. Because a
everything is
significant
part of
no, a significant part of the doctrine the US had with defending South Korea post Korean War was a part of the designated use for the nuclear shells was fire support if anything like the Chosen Peninsula happened again.
Yes, that
They are literally a part of the deterrent of if you push back South Korea to this point again, we will start nuking you. AKA, they are part of the deterrent. No ifs or buts about it.
I never said they weren't part of the deterrent. I've been saying they've been part of the deterrent for the entire bloody thing I've been saying. What I'm saying is they're not a deterrent in and of themselves.
Yes, they are.
By themselves, they are not really a realistic deterrent
No,
for a country
okay,
to have.
no. By that logic, a WB-190 nuclear bomb isn't a deterrent.
No, it is, because you can drop that on any city a bomber can reach.
Yeah,
Yes,
but it's not a. By your logic, if that's not strapped to a bomber, that's not a deterrent.
No, my logic is that the shells, they are part of the overall force structure of the military and the overall deterrent value of the military, but by themselves, they are, especially nuclear shells carried aboard ship, they are something you have to be aware of as an opponent state, but if that's the only atomic arms your opponent has, that's not really a deterrent from you doing what you need to do, because they can damage your coast, and also, politely, the ships are far too vulnerable to be realistically able to deliver those weapons consistently in a deterrent role. That's my point. You're absolutely...
Everything you just said applies to nuclear bombers.
The difference is...
And you wouldn't call them not part of strategic nuclear defense.
The difference is a fucking bomber can obliterate a city with a single weapon. Nuclear shells are
You can.
anemic.
Unless you're talking one of the super heavy bombers, most large cities need several nuclear weapons. It's why MERV exists.
The
They-
point...
Like, launch platform aside, a nuke is still a fucking nuke,
It is.
and it's a deterrent. Even if you were to argue they're not devastating enough to eradicate cities, maybe,
They are
but it's a deterrent in the way it shows your opponents are willing to use nuclear weapons. So their deployment is showing their opponents willing to utilize nuclear weapons, so therefore they're a deterrent.
No, that's not the point.
Anyway, shall we move on?
No. That's quite literally a large portion of the American nuclear doctrine at the period.
My point is, as a solo fucking weapon with no other nukes in a nation's arsenal, they're not viable by themselves as a deterrent to conflict. That's my point.
But they're never a singular thing.
I know they haven't been.
No. That's like saying, oh yeah, a nuclear bomb is useless if you don't have the aircraft to get it to target. Or the
No,
missile to get it to
Also,
target.
I'm-
right, for the record, the question doesn't state that nuclear shells the only thing in the arsenal.
Yeah.
It's just, are they a viable deterrent? And the answer is yes.
Yes, it is in terms of a full spectrum thing. They are a tool in an arsenal you can have.
They were, at the time, they were a very important tool in that arsenal.
Did
Couldn't tell the effective fighter bombers in the 70s. Atomic artillery was the only way of effectively getting tactical weapons on target.
Yes, I know. I'm not disagreeing on
Yeah,
that.
but I'm explaining it. So, until the 70s roll around with the miniaturization of nuclear weapons, they are a cornerstone of deterrence.
Yeah.
Because for both the Soviets and the Americans at this point, going nuclear means you've lost. Well, go strategic nuclear means you've lost.
Yeah.
So, atomic artillery is a powerful deterrent by implication, not by themselves. Like, yes, if they're by themselves, they just over nuclear deterrents, they're still a deterrent, they're just nowhere near as powerful as they are. Because, take the Soviets, for example, they wouldn't want to get first armoured glassed. Not first armoured. It would be first guards, sorry. First and third guards glassed. Like, it doesn't have to be a strategic deterrent to be a deterrent. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I feel like
Context of the Korean War, battleship nuclear weapons are actually a pretty good idea. Because it's effective rapid fire of the largest caliber of artillery on the planet that can move and can defend itself. Yeah. Very good at deterrence. Especially if you're like China in the Korean War, where you don't. Well, if Missouri's rocking around with nuclear weapons, you don't really have anything to stop her just running down your coast and nuclear you. So, big deterrence, but yes. Anyway, next question.
yes.
Yeah, well, Wellesley, a rock in personal violence is a deterrent.
Tell me, what are you more scared of? The person with the big rock? Or the person
Oh.
who doesn't have a big rock?
Or quite literally, the oldest part of human combat. Who are you more scared of? Human without a stick or human with stick? Yeah. Everything's a deterrent But the secondary meaning of deterrent in this situation is a geostrategical deterrent.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a different definition of deterrent.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is escalation points below starting to nuke each other.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, shooting cities with 6-inch artillery isn't going to matter much on the nuclear escalation ladder. Unless it's 6-inch nuclear artillery. Even then, with stuff like the 12-inch nuclear artillery, it's not going to matter much. But there is several definitions of deterrence in this context. Wellesley.
Right, moving on.
Next question.
Typical gunnery officer. Opinions on the later variant of the F-4 Phantom in 1980s USN service. Do you think they're already outdated by the 1980s with the widespread operation of the F-14? And later the introduction of the FA-18. Do you think the USN F-4 can't fulfill an adequate role as a fleet air defense aircraft? No, the F-4 Phantom is still a decent platform in the 80s. It's getting a bit long in the tooth, but weapon upgrades and sensor refits of keeping it viable. It can still use the latest Sidewinder. It can still use the latest versions of, well, Sparrow has by this point turned into the first iterations of AMRAAM, and it can still use them. It's still got 2 honking great engines that lob it through the sky like a brick. And it does still have the ability to drop, Jesus fucking Christ, how many bombs? On your forehead. So the F4 is adequate. Yeah, it is. The F4 is an adequate fleet defense aircraft. It's not the F-14 Tomcat, but that's not surprising because very little is the F-14 Tomcat.
I think the F-14 Tomcat's the F-14 Tomcat at this point.
Like the whole thing with the F-18 Hornet was not to replace Tomcat, it was to phase out F4. And that was only because F4 was basically reaching a point where you couldn't really push it much further than it already was. And the airframes were getting old. If you look at F-18 and F4, F-18 is a single-seat aircraft. So Hornet is a single-seat aircraft, which isn't exactly analogous, but Super Hornet, basically, which comes hot on the heels of F-18, is basically just a flat-out Phantom replacement. It does everything the Phantom does, just better. Admiral Wellesley asks, today's the 109th anniversary of the first deployment of the tank in combat. What's your favourite Great War armoured vehicle? I'm sorry, I have to go to bat for the A7V supply vehicles. Only the Germans could build a tank and build more supply vehicles based on the chassis than actual tanks. Oh, and of course the funny Flak Panzer, which is very funny. Foxo Dragon? Guys, are you there?
Yep.
Do you have a favourite World War I armoured vehicle?
I'm trying to think, do these count?
It's World War One, so I'd say the net's pretty wide.
Vehicles.
I'd say the net's pretty wide.
Okay. Oh, which one of these to pick? Honestly, the armored versions of the Forstler Daimler tracked artillery tractor.
Nice. That's actually a pretty... I'd say that counts. That counts.
The vehicles that single-handedly changed the face of warfare, and nobody ever gives them respect for it.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon? Dragon. Is Dragon just not here?
It would seem so.
Joy.
Ruinon says lozenge tank supremacy.
Yeah.
Chandlerlord, question I don't know right now. What is your favorite hypothetical World of Warship ship that is relatively plausible? Ruinon note says Montanas and some of the tier 9, tier 10 cruisers. For me, it's the hypothetical rebuilds of the German dreadnoughts. The Kaisers, the Königs, and the Bayerns. I really like the way World of Warships came at them. They do look like exactly what you would expect a rebuilt, refitted Kaiser, König, and Bayern to look like. Foxo?
That's easy, baby girl.
For those of us not in the know.
HMS Thunderer.
Right.
Lion with 8 18-inch guns. And long barrel 18-inch guns. Next question.
Typical officer. Opinion on several nations moving towards truck-based self-propelled artillery systems from track-based. Do you think it's more versatile and agile in terms of usage on the battlefield? Now, we have covered this before in some detail. In fact, me and Foxo had a heck of a discussion over it a couple of months ago. But to make a long story slightly less long, I'm going to read the Ruinon note first, then give my 2 cents. Now, at the risk of being crucified by cyclic, I don't think wheeled artillery is more versatile or agile on the battlefield over tracked artillery. It is, however, faster on paved roads, including gravel roads, less abusive to paved roads, and required slightly less specialized equipment to repair and maintain. Now, this is at the cost of decreased off-road capability and weight capacity for a given footprint and vehicle. If you are assuming you'll be able to make use of existing road-paved infrastructure, then wheeled artillery makes a lot of sense and will save you some money and get you more agile force. If you lose that infrastructure, you're knackered. It's basically a trade-off. Do you want more strategic mobility, and do you want more strategic mobility generally and more mobility overall when conditions are good, aka you have roads and the ground is hard, and is that what you want? Or do you want more, or does the ability to operate that artillery in any condition, in any weather, anywhere matter more to you? And are you willing to accept less strategic mobility from the platform and higher maintenance cycles? That's the choice, really. Which matters more to you? Or do you want both? There is a reason why some countries are looking at having both. Like, HIMARS didn't replace M270. It supplemented it.
HIMARS is also rocket artillery.
No, but it's the same thing. Tracks and wheels. It's a comparison between a tracked and a wheeled system. Since the US doesn't operate a wheeled artillery piece, it was the only comparison I could think of.
Yeah, but that's a false comparison because HIMARS doesn't act like a conventional artillery system. Basically, they're horses for courses.
Yeah.
Because one of the big issues of tracked SPGs is the fact that they're significantly better protected from counter battery fire.
That is true.
And they're better protected from drones. And what you're seeing in quite a lot of armies that are switching over to truck-based artillery, it's not replacing the SPGs, it's replacing the towed guns.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because the paradigm's shifting further away from them. With a good set of towing crews, you could get away with towed tube artillery about in the Cold War. Nowadays, with FPV drones, you can't.
Yeah, I think it is becoming clear that outside of exceptionally niche circumstances, like mountain warfare, where you're not gonna get, well, even then, just to bring a mortar, because at that point the FPV
Or just bring a helicopter.
or bring a bloody FPV drone.
Yeah.
So
For
yeah,
example,
not even then. I mean,
on a battlefield where if you're looking at, say, fighting a Western line force, that force is going to be bringing stuff like Panzerhaubitze 2000s and the Korean one, who will counter battery fire you with 6 to 8 shells in 12 seconds. So conventional towed artillery is just not possible on that side of the battlefield.
makes
And the
sense.
advantage of truck-based artillery pieces, you can fire then bucket. You don't have to re-hitch.
You can literally rock up, fire off a suite of rounds, and then just go right speed.
Yeah. But the higher weight capacity of the tracked hull will allow you to have the much more extensive fire control and autoloaders.
And if you want something similar on a wheel chassis, we've seen what that leads to. It's the funny 8x8 with the honking great turret on the back. That one.
Yeah.
It looks goofy as fuck.
It has to be on good quality roads, or else it bogs out.
Yes. Whereas you can get something of a halfway house. The Swedes have managed to do it with Archer, but Archer again doesn't have the same suite of fire control that some other systems do. But Archer is a pretty solid system.
Yeah. But compared to some of the stuff like the Korean one, it's not the K9, but
No, it is. No,
Panzerhaubitze,
it is. You were right. It's the K9 Thunder.
stuff like the Panzerhaubitzens have, the K9s have, that new Japanese one has, what the Americans are looking at has, and hopefully the British replacement for the AS-90 has.
Mm-hmm.
Those systems are much more expensive, much more maintenance intensive. Can do counter battery fire a lot more effectively.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right. It's typically going officer. Which late Cold War military projects that were cancelled after the Soviet Union? What are your favourite, minus the carrier-based Avenger 2 and the Sea Lance ASRock? Post Cold War projects that were cancelled in the fall of the Soviet Union. Military projects. Oh, sad. I can't have Buran. Oh, actually, I could. Yeah, the Ulyanovsks. I would have wanted to see what a proto-Katobard nuclear-driven Soviet carrier would have looked like had it entered service. And I would have liked to have seen what goofy machine they would have created for the AWACS platform. Foxo?
Oh, there's so much. So, an easy one is what would go on to be Challenger 3 in the 90s, which is part of the reason we got stuck with the stopgap that was Challenger 2 as we know it.
Challenger 2 wasn't really a stopgap.
The gun was.
Yeah, I will admit, the gun was a little bit of a thing.
The gun was because...
But the vehicle itself's pretty solid.
So, the original BAE Challenger 3 which basically specifications at the time was based off was for Challenger 2 hull and engine,
Mm-hmm.
but they wanted to upgun it with the advent of what would go on to be called the Soviet T-72 replacement and T-80 replacement that they had shown off in 1990. So you're looking at stuff like the 130mm rifled gun and a Bussel autoloader.
Mm-hmm.
That got shit canned when the Soviet Union fell. And the reason why Challenger 2 exists in that ecosystem is because Challenger 2 shares the same hull and engine and all that stuff with it. It's just a different turret. Which mucho losto.
Indeed.
We could have had 130mm, 135mm NATO MBTs. With British guns, not Rheinmetall ones. It was also a very long barrel gun. Which I think my part of the reason it failed. The other one? No, not MBT-80. This comes way after MBT-80. We're talking this is developed around and alongside Challenger 2.
Hmm.
And secondly, the BAE Systems replica. Which, are you aware of what that design study slash first moving to prototype was?
No.
It was BAE having got down the coating and the geometry for first generation stealth aircraft.
Nice.
And they were working up and prototyping designs. Then it got shit canned and the Union fell. And the use case for the systems replica was a replacement for the Tornado based off the Tornado, but F-117 style stealth aircraft. Which, if the British had gotten that, probably would have put NATO in a lot better position. Because it means the Americans would have had actual competition.
Makes sense.
But that's me done. That's me done.
Right then. Dragon?
None that jumped to mind, really.
And do you have a favourite World War One armoured fighting vehicle?
Technically, yeah, classic gun carriage Mark 1.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Just because it's one of the weirdest ones out there. I like Mark 4s and such. I actually quite dislike stuff like the FT-17, honestly, just because how much it gets talked about. If it's mediocre, don't get me started on the German nonsense. So, at least gun carrier Mark 1 is one of the most unique vehicles of its type at the time. Though, depends on if you consider it a fighting vehicle, because it's technically a self-propelled gun.
You could fire not all the guns it could carry, but certain guns you could fire from the vehicle. I can't remember which ones.
Do you mean all its guns are fired from the vehicle? Notably because it has one gun.
No. You could only fire certain... Because obviously the whole thing is it carries the gun and its limber and the wheels for that weapon over rough ground. That's the point of the vehicle. It's literally a gun carrier. That's what it does. But I
Yeah,
think
but you can still fire the gun from
I think
vehicle.
it was only the 60-pounder and the 4.5-inch.
It didn't get a 4.5-inch.
It got the 6-inch howitzer.
Sorry.
Yeah. Is that the one you mean?
No, I don't mean the 6-inch. So I think the 60-pound.
I would talk about that thing just to confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got the 6-inch howitzer.
So yeah, you can carry. So yeah, I think because of the 60-pounder's ludicrous recoil mechanism. Seriously, that thing has more springs than a bloody bicycle. That could be fired from the vehicle, but I don't think the 6-inch.
So
howitzer...
could the 6-inch.
The 6-inch could be.
Both of them could be because honestly, they don't actually have that big of a recoil mechanism.
What was the
I
gun?
think you're thinking of the wrong guns here.
What was the gun that couldn't be
Are
fired?
you thinking about the long barrel 6-inch?
Might be.
Because this is the low barrel howitzer, short barrel howitzer.
Yeah.
The 6-inch howitzer is the. I mean, it's. Yeah, it's short barrel. Short.
It is quite short. I think it's only something like a 26 to 30 caliber gun,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering the right one. 'cause we were looking at it the other day.
Total barrel was 2.2 meters.
Mhm.
So that's 28, isn't it?
Possibly,
Off the top
yeah.
of my head. But yeah, the picture I've got on the wiki is the 6-inch armed one.
Yeah.
It's because beyond that, they're all either too well known or too boring.
Ah, that's it. Here we go. Here's the detail. So the 6-inch can be fired from the vehicle, and the 60-pounder Mark II, which could also be fired from the vehicle, none of which were in France in 1917. The Mark I 60-pounder has to be disembarked from the vehicle to fire. That's it. There we go. That's the distinction. So the Mark II you can fire from the gun carrier, and you can fire the 6-inch from the gun carrier. But if you're carrying a Mark I 60-pounder, you can't fire it from the gun carrier. There we go. That's what I was getting confused by. Brandon Larson, what are the panel's recent thoughts on events in Europe and the Caribbean? I'll read the ruin on note first. Events in Europe seem to be Putin testing the limits when viewed from this side of the Atlantic. The Caribbean, some of it is a continuation of policy from the last 3 odd administrations. Some of it is the pet projects and those currently in charge. US interdictions, for lack of a better term, are a major grey area, and I flat out haven't seen enough information to weigh in one way or the other. So, for my thoughts, in the Caribbean, I wasn't aware anything special was going on in the Caribbean. It's just the Caribbean being the Caribbean. I hadn't heard any news stories coming out of there. And nothing significant anyway.
The
And-
US is now sinking Colombian and Venezuelan flagged cartel boats.
Oh, I thought they just did that once.
Yeah, they've been doing it a couple of times, and it's only come up because Venezuela's throwing up a stink about it.
They're starting to get concerned of, well, what's the difference between a Venezuelan flagged cartel ship and a Venezuelan flagged actual ship? And the US kind of, from what I've heard, shrugged their shoulders.
I went, get your cartels under control and we'll tell you.
Which, I mean, and also, to be fair, they shouldn't be sinking ships anyway. That's not how we do things.
Back in a minute.
Like, that's just bad form.
No, it's
Right.
not.
Like, carrying drugs or not, working for the cartels or not, stop, see, search. That's how you do it. That's how it needs to be done. Due process.
But a lot of the boats that have been sunk, which is why it's a grey area, are armed. So the US is claiming they're combatants.
Well, be that as it may, isn't that why Coast Guard cutters carry at least a 3-inch gun to be complete overmatch against things like that? Isn't that kind of the whole point?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just
Some
bad.
degree.
It's just no. Don't. They shouldn't be doing this. It's just. It doesn't. It's not a good look. It's not a good
Well,
look.
America's actively at war with cartels.
I mean, they're not at war. They are.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not. Last time I checked, the Congress hadn't declared war.
They're being declared a terrorist organization,
It's not a war.
which has the restrictions of being at war with a non-state actor. It's how
Yeah.
they're able to bomb the Houthis.
But also, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if they confirmed that the 2 ships they sank were even cartel ships. If they were, I mean, I guess they sunk them, I suppose. But it's still a little bit off kilter. And
Well,
I mean,
if the cartels are saying they're cartel ships, they're probably cartel ships.
I mean, I can't say I'm particularly happy about it. I mean, remember, it's not really a grey area. Nations don't go around randomly sinking things on the high seas. That's just not. It's not grey. You don't go around randomly sinking shipping on the high seas, no matter what you suspected of doing. That's just. Like. Okay. Yeah, they've authorized use of military force against organizations which fit into certain brackets. Okay, fair enough. That doesn't change.
And it does not go against the laws of the sea.
It's not morally or ethically. It's just from a standpoint of law, you.
It's perfectly fine.
Also argue that morals and ethics really shouldn't be irrelevant when we're discussing this. But
Yeah, but by that logic, the morals of drug running should be irrelevant.
no. I said they shouldn't be irrelevant.
Yeah. But what can you do? It's not against the laws of the sea. If the US and the cartels consider themselves to be at war with each other.
It's just
We're not laws of the sea. They're valid targets.
It's not a good look though, and I can't say I like the precedent it sets, particularly with certain groups within our own country that would be very happy to see boats full of people sunk in the same way. Reform Party.
Please, the British government can't afford the ammunition to do that. It's not a threat on our end.
True enough, thank God. It's not international law that matters in this case, Knight. It's US domestic law that's the grey area.
Because so much of maritime law comes down to, and who's going to stop you doing that?
Yeah, the whole thing with international waters is it's international waters. It is a very much grey area. Very few things are agreed that everyone signs on to.
Well, there's a lot of agreements, but a lot of them aren't legally binding because no one has
Jurisdiction.
Yes.
Now, in regards,
and who's going to pick a fight with the US Navy in international waters?
No one really can right now, not even the Chinese.
Exactly.
In regards to events in Europe, it's abundantly clear that the drone incursion into Poland was a test of our reaction time and our resolve. I'd like to think we passed with flying colours, given the speed at which NATO reacted, and the multinational nature of that reaction.
I'm more impressed with how quickly Poland mobilized.
It's the Poles; they've been ready for this shit since day one. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the Poles have been ready for this shit since bloody 1991 when they got their independence. Like, the Poles are ready.
You forget, but by 91, the Poles have been preparing to fight the USSR for independence since the early 80s.
Yeah. And Ruin also makes a good point. If there were any foreign power who could intervene, would they intervene on the side of drugs? Probably not. This
Well,
is
don't say that. Because the last time someone said that, a foreign power did intervene on the side of drugs.
and also, to be fair, the US has been intervening on the side of drugs for a long time. Anyone remember the
Exactly.
anyone remember the Contras and Oliver North? Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what was the East India Company but a massive government-funded cartel?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, very true. Unless we stop all fuel trade with the US, which isn't practical. We basically gain nothing by making a... This is probably why it's not been big news over here in the UK, because we gain nothing by picking up the news story. There's not really anything we can do about it, and it doesn't really matter to us.
Well, we'd be more focused on the implosion of the Labour coalition, so...
They're not in a coalition.
The party itself's a coalition. With its
Yeah.
3 major wings, but that's talk for a different time.
Yes, probably.
Next
Right.
question?
We can't answer this one because Drac isn't here, sadly. But the question was, what do you mean Fisher was investigating 22-inch guns? But just to very quickly answer that myself, yes, Fisher was investigating 21 and 22-inch guns. Because that's just the kind of thing Fisher did.
He got laughed at by Elswick.
Typical gunnery officer, do you think firing 14-inch and upward battleship guns are cooler than firing missiles from a VLS twin-arm launcher or box launcher? Ruin on note, define cooler, but no. I can get a lot more utility out of a VLS cell than I can out of a conventional battleship gun tube. But in terms of cooler, I mean, it's very rarely happened in the modern age just because of the cost of it. But there's something to be said for watching an Arleigh Burke just bloody ripple fire every single VLS, every single Mark 41 it has. Just completely emptying its magazine.
Yes,
Like,
but battleships can aura farm.
Right. The most recent example is the Iowas. When you see all of their turrets turned and they just unleash hell. First of all, you've got the shockwave. You've got the explosion, the shockwave, the ripples on the water, and then you see the barrels literally basically venting the rest of the smoke out of them as they're retracting back to their normal position. No, VLS is nowhere near as cool as a battleship caliber gun firing.
Like I say, it was pretty close, but
VLS
if we want...
are practical weapons. Battleships, there's something about them that triggers a monkey brain.
I will admit, the only thing that really comes close to me is the twin-arm ships. Watching them basically perform their little dance as they yeet missiles off into oblivion. In particular, standout has to go to Long Beach with the, yes, I have 8 arms. And all the directors just turn out and the arms go out. And of course, you've got the little mini assembly line on the inside as well that you don't get to see as Talos just comes out onto the rail. And then a massive telegraph pole of a missile goes to ruin some poor Russian's day.
Meh.
But that's just me.
I've also got to say, a part of the issue with VLS is that they're all on fucking ugly ass beta ships.
Also, if you're talking about internals, I'm sorry, if you actually could see the inside as a battleship turret's loading, as you see them, the elevator come down, they stick the charge in, then they stick the barracks in, elevator comes back, rams it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's just something about the battleship caliber gun that makes monkey brain go, cool. It shoots big rock. And
in the end of the day, a VLS is just, yes, I've got a rocket in a tube.
Yeah.
Neat. It's no different than a rocket anywhere else. It's just for easy storage. It's in a set of launchers. Versus a battleship gun where they're in these big hulking turrets that you see turned towards you. Like, ah,
But
we're
it's also,
doomed.
but battleships have that presence even when they're not firing.
Mhm.
Like having been to Whiskey, she has presence because you can look at a VLS hatch. You can intrinsically know there's VLS in there. But there's just something about the battleship that its guns, it's on full display.
Your conscious mind might be telling you, "Ah, yeah, that frigate over there with the VLS is the more dangerous asset. This is all well and good." More subconscious part of your mind goes, "That thing's got ruddy, huge turrets that are looking this way.
Yeah.
It is glaring at you and is almost begging you, come on then, give me a reason."
And how a lot of battleships look like armored porcupines. They have all the decker. And it's just that sort of aura farming that modern ships just don't have.
Modern ships just threw out their aesthetics book.
Yeah.
I don't know,
It's as if they forgot that aesthetics are actually a really important part of war.
Yeah. YouTube Minecraft Watcher asks, question for Draken Fleet. What is your thoughts on my great-grandfather and his service career during World War II? During the early part of the war, he was aboard USS Turner DD-648 up until it sank on January 3rd, 1944, and later in the war he served aboard the USS Hank DD-702 until after the war, having survived the kamikaze attack on the Hank on the afternoon of April 11th. Lucky man would be my thoughts on that. Lucky man. Survived a destroyer sinking and then survived a kamikaze attack on another destroyer. Lucky man. That's what I'm going to say to that. Like, serving on a destroyer was hazardous enough in the Second World War. But surviving a destroyer sinking, which is not guaranteed given the way destroyers usually go down when they sink, and surviving a kamikaze attack on a destroyer, which is usually a very significant emotional event for a destroyer, more so than some other ships. Yeah.
But it says kamikaze attack, not kamikaze hit.
Still. Not exactly, still a lucky guy.
Yeah. Interesting guy. Glad he survived and he gave us you.
Yeah, exactly.
A viewer of El Rambolino.
And a valued question giver. Typical gunnery officer. What is your opinion on US supercarriers like the Forrestal class still having 5-inch guns by the 1960s? Do you think it's a stand-in for point defense weapons until Sea-Wiz comes online? I'll read the Ruin note and then I'll give what I need to say. Taking a bit of a leap here, but I'd say they were point defense anti-shipping and not point defense in the way we think of it today. Anti-missile, anti-air. That's the problem, Ruin. That's exactly what they were. They were the carriers, anti-aircraft, and anti-missile armament. Because they were the best thing available for the job when the Forrestals were built. Because they couldn't carry missiles like Terrier and Talos because of the internal space requirements to carry them. You don't see US carriers getting missiles until you get things like the box launchers for Sea Sparrow, which are very space efficient and can be carried by the carrier in a place where a 5-inch mount would be. And you don't see the 5-inch mounts fully disappear until you get the arrival of Sea-Wiz, which just, in coordination with the missiles, does the point defense AA job far better than the 5-inch guns ever could. But until those systems come around, there's nothing to really do the job the 5-inch guns do.
You always need DACA.
Yeah, so yeah, lucky man. Kamikaze was shot down before it hit, but sprayed fuel everywhere. Lucky man. Typical gunnery officer. Related to 15, opinions on the Kitty Hawk class carriers having a Terrier missile launcher and its space demanding fire control system. Do you think it's a stopgap solution until the Mauler or Sea Sparrow comes online? Ruin on Note says it's the best, least unreliable system they have for the role at that time. Or you also don't have the concentration of area air defense into specialized assets until you see the run up to the Aegis vessels, so every ship needs to carry some level of EA. It was basically a realization that carriers needed some form of missile air defense because the way in which doctrine was changing and the sea battle space was changing. And if that's what you have, then that's what you have to give the carrier. Because by the time the Kitty Hawks are coming in, you don't have the option you have with the Forestals. You can't not have a missile defense system. So at that point, yeah, that they needed a missile air defense system. Terrier's what they've got, and Terrier's what they've got to have. Anyone else have anything they want to add?
Nope.
Can't answer this
Not
one because this is literally for Drac, so I literally can't answer that because it's just for Drac. Admiral Wellesley says, regarding the Japan trip, may I recommend a restaurant near Mikasa? Sure. DM me. I'll put it to the guys. Admiral Wellesley asks, is Vickers the best arms manufacturer in history? Ruin on Note. Depends on which best you're measuring against. Definitely one of the most prolific and diverse arms manufacturers so far in human history to date. Yep, I'll agree with that.
Say again.
Basically, the question is Vickers the best arms manufacturer in history? I think the Ruin on Note puts it best. They're one of the most prolific and diverse arms manufacturers so far in human history to date. If there's a style of weapon system, chances are Vickers at least prototypes something to fill that role. From rifles to machine guns to tanks to artillery pieces to guns, small and large, ships, trains. If it was a thing, Vickers probably built it.
Oh, what I'll do is I'll put it this way. Vickers itself was one of the largest manufacturing military-industrial complex companies ever. It's the company that coined the term the military-industrial complex with all its subsidiaries.
Mm-hmm.
Vickers was the beating heart of the British Empire. And it showed. They made a lot of shit. They were very big. And it has about 1,000 other subsidiaries in other countries. And was very important with the resurgence of the Italian post-war arms industry. The creation of the Japanese ones. They were very important with the American arms industry when it comes to naval artillery and armor plate. They have their origins in the use of shell guns by the British Army, by both Europe's armies. They have, almost every major arms manufacturer of today, and quite a few that went bust, have Vickers fingerprints. All of them. Or Vickers DNA in them.
Mm-hmm.
When the Empire died, Vickers died, because Vickers was the Empire.
Well, not quite. Vickers did continue. Considering Vickers is something like 40% of what now forms BAE.
Yes, but once upon a time, they were 40% of the world's military-industrial complex.
Yes, but I will say that it did. The Empire, Vickers is important though, but Vickers is not yet dead.
I mean, it is.
I wouldn't say so. I'd say its genetics live on.
Infrastructure and the foundries that made up Vickers. Like, BAE has the legacy of Vickers, they're not Vickers. They don't do enough cocaine to be Vickers. The next question.
Yep. Oh boy, gents, please, you lads need to get the document. Oh no, sorry, no, it's not yet. Not yet.
A little busy checking something for a future one.
Admiral Wellesley, it is 1930. Vickers asked you to design a 12-ton tank. What do you do with the design? Oh, that's really easy. I just run the Vickers 6-ton through the printer at 50% capacity. That's really
No.
easy. The Vickers 6-ton is already...
A 12-ton tank running a Vickers 6-ton through that 50% capacity.
Yeah, I'm glad that
Like the Vickers 6-ton
Please,
is all...
can you into math?
The Vic... whatever.
you mean
The Vic-
100%.
Sorry, 100%.
200%.
Sorry. Okay. Look, the Vickers 6-ton is already a world-beating design in 1930. It is the foundational tank for a lot of armed forces. It has, depending on your choice, either a pair of machine guns or a turret with a low-velocity 47mm gun and a machine gun. That gun can take AP, which, given the vehicles you're likely to face, it will penetrate handily, or it can take a shell with a useful HE load. It's reliable. It's actually protected against some anti-tank rifles in service frontally. So basically, what I would do is I'd basically put it through, basically take the basic concept of the Vickers 6-ton, expand it, try and keep the same power to rate ratio. That's the first thing. Armor it to at least resist. Basically, make it frontally proof against all anti-tank gun. Doesn't anti-tank gun. Sorry, make it frontally proof against the gun that the Vickers 6-ton carries, which shouldn't be probably at above 300 meters. So not make the armor ludicrous, which will make it proof frontally against all anti-tank rifles, which is very useful. And make the sides proof against some of the larger anti-tank rifles and 50 caliber machine guns, which gives you a very decent piece of kit. In terms of gun, I don't want to overcomplicate it. I'm just trying to think what sort of gun, because the 47 is still a decent gun. In the 47, the Vickers 6-ton carries is still a decent weapon in 1930. I could just stick with it in the same turret, just better protected, and maybe put a machine gun in the hull. Actually, hang on. Did the Vickers 6-ton have a radio? Because if not, that's something we need to put in.
Depends on the turret that it was with.
Well, in that case, then we can
The
offer...
Polish ones had radios, the Soviet ones didn't.
Okay, so in that case, then every Vickers 12-ton will have a radio. And we'll use the longer-barreled version of the 3-pounder gun, as opposed to the cut-down, shorter-barreled version the 6-ton actually carried. So yeah, so we'll have the same gun, we'll just have the longer-barreled version, such as carried by the medium Mark III and II.
Second A?
Yeah, please.
I think please going about this the wrong way.
I would say the question is, what type of tank are we actually building here?
Probably for
Because with
export.
hindsight, I'm gonna want something long. Something with armor's not really part of the issue. So, right, first things first. Make it around 6 meters long and 2.5 meters wide, and about the hull's about 1.5 meters tall. Give it.
Foxo,
Yeah.
so quick interrupt. You've almost made a tank smaller than the 6-ton. 6 tons,
Six.
4.9 meters long, 2.4 meters wide, and 2.2 meters tall. You've actually made, like, in terms of width, and you're about just a little bit bigger width-wise and actually shorter height-wise. So you might want a bit more.
Yeah, that's the whole height. Because I've got a plan. You see, I'm
Right, you can
basing
specify
this
whole height
off
so far.
a one. Oh, good. Nuffield's abominations. So, and it's going to have a turret that brings it up around to about 2.6 meters. I'm going to give it Christie suspension
Jesus Christ, she's gone bad.
and the Nuffield Liberty V12 petrol engine.
Who's going to buy this tank?
Britain.
I'm also going to take the front armor and do this thing called sloping to it.
The 6-ton already has sloped armor.
Actual proper
Do
sloping.
you mean a unified slope?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yes. A unified front slope. And the British have a very, very cut down 3-inch howitzer. Got a 76 howitzer. I'm going to put that in it. And it's going to have a crew of 3. And I'm going to create an earlier proto version of the Morris Commercial Cars Tank Cruiser Mark III. Just like you like, because it's smaller. I can get rid of a lot of volume. It's not the Morris Marina tank. This is when Morris was actually competent. Hey, Finns. Morris used to be competent, you know.
I mean, so basically, Foxo's created a very... so we've got 2 different Vickers 12 tons here. We've got Fleet's basically larger export tank for basically to capitalize on the success of the 6-ton and offering a larger tank for those that want it. And Foxo's, which is very much a tank for the British Army's newly developing cruiser doctrine.
Basically, hybridize a BT and a cruiser. Put the very short, lightweight 76 in.
Like, these are both valid 12 tons, because hers is geared towards an order from the British Army. Mine's geared towards capitalizing on the export success of the 6-ton. But that doesn't make either a bad or wrong choice. Just different.
it does, but
Well, Dragon?
Go on, Dragon.
Yeah, your turn.
I would
You
rather
have-
go with Foxo's over yours, to say the least. But in a similar vein, make a unified front plate. We don't need a machine gun in there because we can't. If we want that angled front plate, you're not getting a machine gun. Not at this point. On the other hand, I'm going to go slightly different armament-wise to Foxo. I'm going to go with the 2-pounder. In particular, though, before someone brings it up, I would go off the long barrel 2-pounder 40mm, also known as pom-pom. There was a longer barreled version of it available in 1930. Because I'm assuming we're going off actually exact 1930. Because otherwise, then I can make a far better tank.
Yeah, presumably it is 1930, yeah.
It is 1930. So, in particular, yes, go with a slightly better engine. On the other hand, yes, I am going to want to go with more armor than you two. Because in particular, in that angled front plate, ideally, considering I have the advantage of hindsight here, I will actually want it capable of shrugging off most anti-tank weapons to come. Which with an angled front plate is actually quite doable. Another differentiation I'll do to Foxo is I want a 3-man turret.
Getting a bit heavy for 12 tons,
Nope.
aren't we?
Nope.
Yeah. If he skimps on some of the armor protection for the turret and exploits the sloped armor to reduce the amount of thickness he needs on
The
his front
reason
plate,
why I say it's not
he can-
actually that heavy, Foxo.
he can get away with it.
Have you heard of the Cruiser A9?
Oh, is that the one with the low horsepower engine?
150 horsepower is not exactly low.
Yeah, it's got
And
less
also-
than half horsepower mine does.
And also, to be fair,
Right, just because yours
Foxo,
has a stupid amount of horsepower,
What's wrong? Do you not want 320 horsepower?
I
also,
don't think you're reasonably getting that.
and also to be fair, like just to back up Dragon, the Vickers 6-ton already has a 2-man turret as it stands, so there's no reason that a 12-ton tank couldn't
Can't have
a
a 3-man.
Yeah,
And considering my gun is smaller than yours, you've got a
Who
dedicated.
would be telling that to people, Rick?
well, she would know.
But also, we know that the 2-pounder eventually gets the proper tank grade 2-pounder very quickly after this. As in, I think literally like the next year, the dedicated tank variant of the 2-pounder with the shoulder stabilizer comes in.
So basically, you're fitting 4 but not with, in essence.
Also, I want something that no one else has mentioned so far: power transverse.
That's a good point. That is something
We can get power transverse at this time.
Yeah, that is something I just hadn't considered. Yeah, no, I would probably
That
want.
engine?
I would probably
Yeah.
I would probably want a power traverse in my 12-ton as well, because and I'd have that be a key selling point of the vehicle. Like if you buy this tank from us or the license for it, you also get powered transfers and the technology that comes with that.
And with our enlarged turret, we could probably also fit a coaxial machine gun. So there is at least still one machine gun.
Oh, I mean
Okay,
again,
so I
the
just need a quick
Vickers-
correction for mine.
the Vickers
It
6
wouldn't be the 125 horsepower no field engine. It was the 280 horsepower no field engine.
Dragon.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything with that. The Vickers 6-ton with the 2-man turret has a coax.
Yes, but the other one that I was mentioning, the Cruiser A9, doesn't. Which is why I was just clarifying that, since mine's more akin to that.
Oh, fair
Because
enough.
effectively, I'm going a slightly different layout, which would... Because the A9 weighs 13 tons.
Yeah.
So for this, I just need to shave off... Though technically speaking, the Vickers 6-ton actually weighed 7 ton. If not 8. So...
Yeah,
We could probably cheat that to 13 anyway, but
7.3 tons.
Because, for instance, because with the A9, it's got two machine gun turrets on the front. If I remove those and actually make that one unified sloped glacis, would be far more effective. Would be more along the kin of what I'm after. Plus, still able to go 25 mile an hour is plenty good enough at this point in time. Because that's 40 kilometers an hour. And keep in mind, most tanks you're encountering for the next 10 years don't really do that much better.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're going for a dedicated cruiser.
Yeah.
And at that point, we probably can uprate the engine.
What engine are you using? That's the issue.
The one that immediately jumped to mind would be the what's called, if it's available, the AEC 179, which is a 6-cylinder petrol providing 150 horsepower.
Yeah, you're not operating that 6-cylinder.
No, it's called put a different engine in. Is what I'm meaning by uprating. We can just do a full-blown engine swap.
Maybe.
And we can more than likely get 35 mils on that frontal plate. Which means this thing could, apart from direct hits to the turret, will be immune to most anti-tank weaponry for quite a while.
Right. Well, I enjoyed that question. That was pretty fun. The next one's a doozy. Could you two get the document up? Because you're going to need to read through this as I just have to figure out what the heck's going on. Admiral Wellesley asks, with such a Washington naval treaty, how screwed is the balance of power naval-wise? What issues would this bring? Well, I'll read the Rodon note first, as I have been doing. The next US federal election is likely to be a bloodbath, as this implies Congress has ratified a treaty where the US is fixed to the number 2 position below the UK. The balance is much for the muchness. I don't think the US is going to keep this very long, and it's going to make First London very interesting when the reactionary government gets in there and demands a bigger share. So, politely looking at this, this treaty would never ever be signed. Ever. For starters, the British are so far ahead of everyone else, it's not even funny. Not only do you have a significant, at least 2 to 3 capital ships for Britain alone ahead of the US, you've also got 2 ships of 30,000 tons each for each British Dominion, which is ludicrous. The US with only 550,000 tons, and also, this is the worst bit, the US has 550,000 tons, the Empire of Japan gets 496,000 tons. That's only a 2 capital ship difference. If the British displacement wasn't enough to scupper this treaty, that level of closeness with Japan alone would result in the US walking away. It's tantamount to basically giving the Japanese carte blanche to do what they like. Because with that level of closeness in parity, the Japanese can quite comfortably commit to a war with the US, knowing that the difference in capital ship numbers is not enough that it's an overwhelming fight. In fact, it's not even close to being an overwhelming fight. It's like this bit alone, like I read the rest of it, but it doesn't really matter. That little section there, the British, the American, and the Japanese tonnage, just scuppers this treaty on arrival.
If anything, you made the Japanese happy.
True, you did. Whether they can reach that tonnage without blowing their own economy up is another thing entirely. But, well, and also, the French are just very unhappy.
But the French don't really matter, but
True.
in the grand scheme of things, like even
And
going
also,
off the idea that they do care, they're never going to get what they want anyway.
yeah, and also, politely, the Americans have really gotten the short end of the stick here. In terms of so the British are allowed to construct 3 brand new designed 37,000 ton capital ships with 16-inch guns. Japan can finish 2 of the Washington Treaty cherries it's building, which is a significant.
Which means it basically builds 2 Amagis, effectively.
And the US gets all the Colorados. That's not equivalent at all. Yes, they're 4 16-inch ships, but the Japanese have 2 Amagis plus Nagato Mutsu, which, quite frankly, smacks the 4 Colorados around as a battle squadron, because they can just dictate the engagement. If they don't like the way the fight's going, they can just nope out of there at 26 knots.
What you probably see more is them allowing them to build some of the Lexingtons as well as some of the Colorados.
Yeah, the Colorados shouldn't have been the US allocation in this. They should have been allowed to
Because
build.
the UK also gets to continue building 2 of its under construction 16-inch ships.
No.
Which means the UK just got 2 G3s.
No.
Yeah.
The UK has to build 3 new designs of 37,000
No.
tons.
Look, nope. And that's something else they can do. Look, in particular, where was it?
No, I'm reading that the G3s and N3s are to be cancelled. And the hulls of 2 admirals are available for
There was
conversion to
another one which
carriers.
mentioned that they're. I swear I remember seeing one bit which said that they could build 2 of their existing 16-inch armed ships.
No, that's Japan. The British Empire are allowed to build 3 new capital ships up to 37,000 ton standard displacement with a maximum gun size of 16 inches. Which I'd argue is actually the best out of all of it, because the Amagis have their flaws despite their increased size. The British should be able to build 3 perfect treaty capital ships. Designed to kill whatever anyone else has. It's I mean, Dragon, it doesn't matter what the British demand. The treaty's dead on arrival with that American tonnage allowance and the way in which they've been only allowed to finish the Congos. So not Congos, sorry, Colorados. Those two articles alone basically just render it null and void. Even an isolationist American government would never accept this. Yeah, if for some bizarre reason the Americans accept this, the US Navy isn't even rank 2, I'd say it's rank 3. I think the Japanese are more powerful than them at this point. Simply down to the fact that the Japanese have a better fleet with better ships. Their battle line speed is 24 knots as a uniform fleet, with the Fusos and the Iseis included. They've got some powerful units in the forms of the Amagis and Nagato and Nagato and Mutsu. And they've still got the 4 Congos. I'd argue that given the tonnage, yeah, the Japanese are, and especially given how close they are in carrier tonnage as well, only 11,000 tons apart. Yeah, in this world, the US is third fiddle. The Japanese are the stronger navy. Just
To be
because
fair, they're only third because of their doctrine of building.
True, and I'm not denying that, but that is still the fact of life in this world. And also, the building holiday is now 17 years long, which I find very strange.
Yeah, no one's going to accept that.
No, that wouldn't exist. Like a building holiday of...
Well done, you've successfully killed all forms of naval industry in most of these countries.
Yeah, if they can't build anything larger than cruisers and carriers for 17 years, that's... Yeah, no one would agree to that. What you've basically...
Treasury Department, mate.
What you've basically decided is that the era of the battleship dies with this treaty, and the carrier replaces it, because that's all they're going to be able to build when the treaty ends. They will not have
and cruisers.
Yeah, they will not have the armor, the firepower. Sorry, they will not have the gun pits and the armor forges for anything else. The guns larger than 8 inches, and armor thicker than the armor that can actually resist those guns. Except in very, 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 very limited numbers. I mean, the only thing I can see that the US gets is that the US gets a blank check with the Lexingtons for conversion. There's no limit on what size they can be once converted. That's the only benefit for
that's not going to fly, though. Because then the UK will go, no.
Well,
Lexington's is built.
Well, no,
UK could feel comfortable with dealing with. Lexington's being able to be built to whatever size they want? No.
Yeah, it basically seems like every conversion of a carrier doesn't have a displacement limit. So the Admirals don't have a displacement limit for their conversion. The Lexingtons don't have a displacement limit for their conversion.
Wait,
and
the Admirals weren't up for conversion by this point.
That's what the treaty says. The conversions the British are allowed are 2 of the Admirals.
They physically can't do that because the Admirals aren't on the slips anymore.
I'm pretty sure...
Unless you're trying to buy treaty force the British to lay down more Admiral hulls when they've got...
Well,
the Admirals are an obsolete hull design.
Yeah,
what time's the treaty, sorry?
It's signed in 1922.
Yeah, no, Admirals I'm pretty sure are gone by then.
Yeah, and also it's listing courageous.
All officially cancelled in 1919, and I think they were all gone by 22.
Combat 21.
Also, hang on. Good lord, Jesus Christ. All the 13... only the Iron Dukes are remaining out of the 13.5-inch ships. Oh, and none of the early battle cruisers are listed for disposal? Not Lion or... Lion's not listed for disposal in this first batch, but HMS Courageous and HMS Glorious are? That's very strange. Unless the older battle cruisers are going out to the Dominions as the as part of the suite of Dominion flagships. Like, 2 extra capital ships with 30,000 ton standard displacement for the British Dominions. Is that each? Do the Dominions each get 2 30,000 ton capital ships? Or is it 2 30,000 ton capital ships for the Dominions as a shared thing they get? Because either way, it makes no sense. If it's 2 capital ships for all the Dominions, then that's not enough. You need 3. 1 for each of them. Well, the major Dominions: Canada, Australia, South Africa.
New Zealand.
New Zealand can be protected. New Zealand can be protected by Australia's ship.
Not what New Zealand thought.
Just work with me here.
No, that New Zealand would want one. If Australia gets one, they would want one.
Please remember, this is after the calamity that is the Confederation of Australia.
Right.
And plus, New Zealand already paid for 1 battle cruiser.
True.
Instead of it going to scrap, they would probably rather have it than have it go to scrap.
True.
If Australia gets their own.
Yeah. So that's the thing. The thing is, you need more than 2. If it's each Dominion gets 2 30,000 ton capital ships, the British Empire's displacement limit is not 620,000 tons. It's closer to nearly 1 million tons of capital ship displacement. Which just scuppers the treaty again. This treaty just does not work in a fictional setting where it exists. It fundamentally falls flat on its face, even with the first page. Never mind getting to the rest of it. It's not sound diplomatically. It's not sound for basically any of the participants except maybe Japan, strategically. And it's not sound economically with the massive length of that building holiday. In short, this never mind it being a less stable world, it doesn't work. Admiral Wellesley asks, again, another question. The year is 2293, and an incursion from an extragalactic power calling themselves the First Galactic Empire has occurred in the Beta Quadrant, just north of the Tholian Assembly. We're attempting to make contact with the Empire. The USS Titan, NCC 1777, was attacked. It's clear that the Empire is hostile. They have begun an invasion of Federation and Klingon planets in the region. With the Khitomer Accords having been signed, you as part of Starfleet's Admiralty must form a task force to defend and repel the enemy. With intel having come through, the enemy fleet consists of 2 Executor-class Star Dreadnoughts, 15 Imperial Star Destroyers. Intel indicates they are effectively battleships, 2 Venator-class Star Destroyers, doctrinally a carrier, 2 squadrons of our Quintance-class light cruisers. With access to all Federation and Klingon starships, what will you deploy to defeat the enemy? Which will be your flagship? Beta cannon starships are available for use. Just to very quickly read the Ruinon note before I have my say, quickly. Dragon, help! This is going to depend heavily on how turbulators interact with Starfleet shields and vice versa. If nothing else, the Imperial Navy is far, far better organized for large-scale warfighting. I suppose if Starfleet teleporters can bypass Star Wars shields, they can just drop their proton torpedoes into the hulls of Star Destroyers and turn them into gooey lumps of radioactive slag. And as for my part, that is not a big enough force for the galaxy they've just entered. that fleet is, I can just swamp that fleet with a fraction of the Klingon and Federation fleets. Like that is not enough of a fleet to even bother us. That's just so tiny. Like I'm right there, Dragon, aren't I? That is such a tiny Imperial fleet.
Considering if we go off the lowest end numbers, at least 100 Constitution class starships were built.
And that's just the Constitutions.
And that's the lowest estimate we have.
Like, we're just gonna swamp the fuck. I don't care they've got 2 executors. Fuck them up. Go on, Dragon, take it away.
Oh, all ships available, you say? It's time to bring out the heavy hitters then. Proxima and Yamato class will be assembled en masse. Which, for the record, these are the ships when the Federation's done messing around. Now, in regards to how weapons interact, we actually, thanks to Strange New World, we are aware that Star Trek phasers are immensely more powerful than turbo lasers. Like, the difference isn't even funny how much more powerful phasers can be, let alone their versatility. If we go off the idea that turbo lasers are basically lasers carrying plasma, which is basically what's been set now, then yes, they can hurt the Federation. And probably pretty reasonably over time. But 15 Star Destroyers? A single Federation task force could wipe that out. I don't even have to start bringing out some of my other fun ships. We know that if I just bring literally a squadron of Proximas and Yamatos, this battle's done. Considering we know the Yamato class alone have weaponry that far outstretches almost any other ship that we have seen. Proxima's carrying at least 8 forward-facing torpedo launchers. Yeah, this isn't even funny. How would the USS Kelvin do, as in the one from the Kelvin timeline? Reasonably, the Einstein class is more a dedicated scout/patrol ship. 2 standard torpedo launchers with, I believe, 8 phaser banks. They won't do badly, they're your picket ships. Also, remember, phasers. Instant velocity, perfect accuracy. TIE fighters.
Dead.
Pop, 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 pop. Yeah. No, the Empire loses this significantly.
Easily. It's not even
I don't even
funny.
have to bring the Klingons in.
It's not even a fight. They have so
There's
little
just
forces.
Not enough forces here to be even worthy of calling this a war.
This is not, as the Daleks are so apocryphally fond of saying, this is not war. This is pest control. Basically.
Quadrants of our Quintons. Yeah, it's just not enough to even make the Federation... They'll go, that's weird, and dispatch probably a task force or 2, especially if the Klingons are involved. And that's basically hoping that the Tholians don't murder them.
Yeah. Hoop.
Because the Tholians might just go, you're not meant to be here.
Rule number 1, do not piss off the fucking Tholians. Angry magma people. With weird starships.
But yeah, this is a massacre, considering Star Trek has tens of thousands of ships. Yes, they are quite spread out across the galaxy, or across the quadrant.
We can bring together 100 ships easily, that's not a problem. Like, that's how much boom we have available.
This is, well, literally, the Yamato class are primarily kept in dockyard when they're not being deployed, because even the Federation went, these are expensive for us to just have wandering around in their lore. Because again, the Yamato class for this time is 854 meters long, almost 3 times the length of a Constitution class starship, and they exist in the same time period. So you can see why the Federation doesn't necessarily want to have ships that they deem dreadnoughts and ships built purely for war flying around, just for the fun of it. And that's without even pulling out the Federation class, because there's at least 100 of those that we're aware of. Then there's the Ulysses. Yeah, no, this isn't even funny. It's GG, Empire, you're done.
Good night, Vienna. That's it.
The worst part is, they don't even necessarily have to fight on the ground.
No.
Because it's been proven in TOS that Star Trek phasers, as a space-to-ground weapon, has a stun setting. They can just stun the ground forces.
Blanket stunning. Hey, Dragon, guess what? I guess you can say the Empire's gonna have a stunning time dealing with this.
Hey, if they can do it to gangsters, they can do it to the Empire.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's like just complete curb stomp, basically, end
Come
off.
in just to say, please stop the puns.
No, the puns
Stop
will
them.
continue until
Stop them.
morale improves. I will pun
It's
until
fun to-
I will pun until you tell us when you're coming to Japan.
He did.
Sorry, Dr. Clark, are you telling me that this phases you?
No, his puns do. Foxo,
Foxo, that was great.
Your puns are lovely. His puns are punnable.
What's the
Are they
matter?
a
What's the matter, Dr.
punishment to
Clark?
you?
What's the matter, Dr. Clark? Couldn't was it too stunning?
Right. That's it. I'm setting phases to kill.
I'm going straight for the photons.
Fleet, the issue is that your puns are so bad they don't phase anybody.
They just
Okay, that was good. That was good.
No. As for Japan, well, yeah. So far, we haven't heard anything about the house.
Oh.
So today, so you know, who knows? It's either the fund gets up to $5,000, or we wait for the house sale. So you know, if the house sale goes through and we get the money this week, then I'm on the plane on Sunday. Well, no, I'm on the train Sunday. I'm on the plane Monday, and I'm with you in Japan on Tuesday next week.
Oh, we're gonna be waiting for you for a while. It's gonna be a shame. I'm gonna miss you on the flight out. It's gonna be weird. Just me and Dan.
You're just going to be with you and Dan. It'll be fine. You have two jobs. One, if you see a short redhead going to another flight and Dan start following her, you grab hold of him and make sure he heads to the right flight.
Right. Okay.
And two, the moment he gets on a flight, you have to remember he's a medical doctor. He doesn't want to be asked to treat people in the air because it's a nightmare. So he will immediately ask for alcohol. You ensure he gets it as quickly as possible.
Right. Well, we're not. Well, problem is we are miles apart on the aircraft, so.
If I can manage to secure on the middle of a plane going between Oslo and Narvik, little model planes to be delivered to my colleague by the stewardesses for them to build and enjoy themselves on the plane, you can sort out alcohol.
I will do the best I can, but I make no promises. But I will do the best I can.
And just remember, there are two things they need to do every day. They need to record a video that they post on their socials, and they need to record a video that they send to Garius for the backers video. You know, the behind the scenes.
So
and
I need
any
to...
candid shots and everything like that you can take. I normally do this when I'm there, but you're getting the job as I'm not there for a couple of days.
Oh, okay. So I need to make...
And you have to remember, Drac will tell you he's going to sleep. You
Right.
tell him he's going to record the video first. Otherwise, you will bang on his door with pots and pans until he does it.
Are you kidding me? You're not the one who has to face his wrath later in the trip when he fucking comes at me with a samurai sword.
Yes.
I'm the one who has to stand
But I
there
could-
in armor and take
I-
it.
But I could be the one who could organize that you have a sword as well.
Timu, I know, I was just... Look, I couldn't think of the name and then I had to make the point. Look, anyway, the point is... Right, I will be. Look, I will keep the colleagues in check. All right, I know what I'm doing. Look, I've been managing Drax community for a long time. I'm very good at it. Well, I was until I stopped doing it because I wanted to manage my own community. Well, I still technically do
Yes,
manage.
but
Well,
now you have to manage Drac.
I'm good at that as well.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
I always had the closest relationship with him out of any of the moderation team in the server, with good reason. I'm the only one who talked to him on the regular. I can
Just remember this. This is the first time you're going to be spending a month with us, day in, day out.
yeah.
It is perfectly natural if by day 10 you want to kill us.
You underestimate my powers of patience. As long as I get breaks in my own room with just me and the ability to scream into the void for a good 10 minutes, I'll be fine.
That's fine. You know,
Also-
possibly that'll happen.
Yeah, it's the other.
It depends. whether-
It's the other way
it depends how
around.
many times me and Dan decide to drag you off for on-center.
Right. Anyway, so we have one last question, and then we're done. And then I do have to rather rapidly move off because I am in the middle of prep for things, and then I have to record. And then I have to record 4 videos over the course of the next 2 days. But luckily, I've got a topic. I started a stream last night of Hoi, and I'm gonna record that over the next 2 days, and that will be my
Sounds good.
videos while I'm away. I'll revive the Fleet Fumbles Wednesday slot for it. Because that slot's been vacant since Railroad has stopped.
Sounds good to me.
But yeah, I am existed because everything's booked, and I've got my train tickets, and I've got my plane tickets, and I've got my everything else tickets, and I'm ticketing myself away.
Good.
Yippee.
You've got your train tickets.
Well, yeah, to the airport.
Yes, I was going to say, you don't buy your JR Rail pass till you've been in Japan for a couple of days, because they only count for 21 days.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just checking.
Well, there's no point buying it till we bloody leave Tokyo.
Because
If
someone has
not-
already bought it. Let's put it this way. I was going to go, no, not Fleet as well. No, please, no.
I'm the person who understands railways and rail passes. I know full well I can't afford to buy the. Well, first of all, the damn thing's bloody expensive as it is, and secondly, it's bloody expensive as it is. I'm not buying that thing until I absolutely bloody have to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. First class Japanese rail travel.
£700 worth. Jesus, Kate, tap dancing Christ.
You forget, I travel regularly from Cornwall to London. That's £350 return ticket. £700 for 3 weeks of train travel? That sounds like a steal to me.
I know, and it is a steal, but I'm sat here with my arms folded going, fucking Christ on a jackhammer. I've already spent bloody this much money. Anyway.
Yeah, wait until you get to the... Draki's got an idea of us doing a 6 weeks everywhere in America tour.
Oh, he can't be serious.
That might have to
He
wait
wants
a
a-
while.
To visit every single battleship and preserve battleship, carrier, and cruiser
Can we
in the
wait
United
until
States
can we wait
over
until
6 weeks.
Can we wait until after the US stops imploding? Maybe?
It will be a couple of years' time, because remember, we've got something quite busy taking over next year and the year after that.
Thank God for that. I don't
kind
I don't want to go
remember-
to I don't want
We're
to go to
talking about 2028, maybe 2029.
I'd rather wait until after the US has stopped imploding, thanks very much.
Hey, look, it'll be very different by then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe
it
we'll
will
have,
be.
maybe we'll have Rune on here by then.
It'll be President Ivanka Trump by that point.
Jiminy Christmas.
Oh.
Don't you mean it'll be the Greater Russian colony? Don't you mean it'll be the Russian colony of Greater Russian Alaska?
No.
If we're doing
Oh, good
random
lord,
fun
by that-
shenanigans.
By that point, Russia might have divided into about 6 different states.
Bowmill Boy, there is no command structure. That is the important thing you have to recognize. Shipshape is not command structure based, and there is no hierarchy. That's the one thing I've learned.
There is a command structure. I am running. I have the organization and I have the timetable. And if you don't follow it, I will find very pissy ways of getting you back on.
But you're
That is
not.
the command
But you're not out there. I am. Ha ha ha.
Not out there yet.
Yes.
Anyway.
but the mood I'm in when I arrive will depend on heavily on how well you guys have been doing.
I'll keep them on track. Don't worry. Right, okay. So before Fleet loses what little is left of his mind, which is, you know, something that happens on a semi-regular basis,
You really should stop doing that.
look, it keeps going away. I look at it. It's on the ceiling. Slayer asks, this is to the panel, but what is your favorite motorcycle? And if you had to own one, which one would it be? 1 second. Let me grab my giant sign with the word no on it. I fell off my fucking bicycle more times than I'd like to admit. If I'm driving something with an engine, it needs to have at least 4 wheels. And preferably a roof.
I could make do with 3.
So no, I don't have an answer to this question. The Ruinon note says, so unfortunately the brand has been terminated by Polaris, but I really like the designs of the Victory brand of motorcycles which were available in the late 2010s. It had a better look IMO than the Harleys, and I never really liked the crotch rocket designs at all.
If I was to choose one, it would be some of the old Honda ones, because Honda actually did some really nice bikes for a while.
Makes sense.
But no, give me at least 3 or 4 wheels. Or preferably 2 treads. Foxo, you have an opinion?
What's the question?
If you could own a motorbike, what would it be?
Yeah, motorbikes. I'm
I mean,
cycling
understand.
enough as it is. I'm not dying on 2 wheels. I'm dying on 4 in style.
Yes,
No
because
white
Slayer
wheels.
recently became an organ donor in that regard.
Oh.
Slayer
He's
recently
not dead.
he's done a motorcycle training course and now is motorcycle trained and is his planned method of transport.
That man must never own a bloody motorcycle. The world will fucking end.
Look, all I'm going to say is motorcyclists are employed by Big Pharma to create more organ donors.
Do any, apart from Rubinon, do any of us actually want to own motorbikes? Because so far all of us have said no.
I want to own them and rent them out to my enemies.
Perfectly fine. One of the coolest moments in my life was when I drove one out the back of a helicopter, which was not on the ground. Its wheels weren't touching the ground. It wasn't hovering very high, but it wasn't on the ground. You're all mentally having the image of me now, aren't you? Don't
No.
worry, it was a standard British Army motorbike. It really wasn't anything fancy or cool.
No, I'm just thinking, if I was going to drive a motorbike, I would much rather die in style driving a rally car.
Oh no.
I've
Not
done that as
again.
well.
Because at least if you wrap it around a tree, you won't get turned into liquid paste.
Group B rally car, here we come.
I think I could get my hands on the Group B.
I was going to say, tell me
They
I'm
are
wrong. Foxo.
jealously guarded at this point.
Right. So, we're done. Thank you everyone for being here.
Obviously.
Well, my participation does. I have things I need to do. I have suitcases to pack. I have recording I
How
need
long
to
does it
do.
take to pack a suitcase?
If you're me, you pack, repack, check again, pack again, check again, check again, pack again, and then
Am I the only one who just makes sure to get it done right the first time?
No.
Am I the
do
one
that.
just
Who said anything about doing it right first time? This is all about making sure that it's right and I'm happy and my subconscious can stop screaming at me, have you checked it?
am I the only one who just goes screw it? I'll buy stuff I need over there.
Yes! Because that's bloody expensive. I'm not
No,
made
actually,
of
I
money.
know a lot of people who do that.
I'm not made of money. Good lord, I'm not
Well,
made of money.
technically, you are.
Well, yeah, your kidney's worth around 6 grand. Your lung about 12. Your brain, you have to pay someone to take it.
No, I'm
Bone-
fairly sure there's a mad scientist who thinks they can actually create one of those things from Warhammer 40k with it.
Servitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't even... I suppose. But Fleet wouldn't make a good servitor. He's too French.
Actually, I think that's one of the few things servitors don't care about.
Yeah, they do. The worst possible fate for a servitor is to be French. Who's a coup d'etat dragon? Who's a coup d'etat? Wow.
You should probably put that in its funnel.
Anyway,
But she's
Like,
so cute.
No, like seriously, because they almost had to do a entity kill earlier. So, like, if you're not on the
Why?
server boxes, because they were worried that was one of the things that was causing corruption to the server.
anyway, so
Not your dragon in particular, just that they might have to kill all entities,
Yeah.
and
Anyway.
that would include your dragon.
yeah. Anyway, thank you. I will leave the rambling zone open for those who wish to keep making use of it, but unfortunately, I really do have to go. I hope you've all enjoyed.
Okay,
I hope those on YouTube have enjoyed as well. Obviously, the next time you probably hear from me in a live sense will be when I'm out in Japan. And as I've said, there won't be normal ramblings, and there won't be normal catch-up ramblings or any of the usual stuff. But seeing as I am the person who is apparently making sure that everyone is doing the media things they are supposed to be doing, that means that you will probably see a lot of live streams from me on my channel, or using my laptop to stream to other people's channels.
So what I'm
etc.,
hearing is
etc..
we're going to get Rambling Shinkansen edition.
Possibly, we shall see.
Oh.